Hello everyone, and many thanks for joining us. This is Ababesh Mekonnen presenting to you the weekly program Talk to Addis from the Metropolitan Media Addis Media Network. Based on the available documents, Ethiopia is a home to vast potential river basins and the monumental Grand Ethiopia Renaissance Dam. In today's episode of Talk to Addis program, we will be discussing about the water resources of Ethiopia in general, the impact of Grand Renaissance Dam to the nation and the region. We will be joining with a university professor who is working here in Adama, Science and Technology University. Stay connected with us. Nice to see you, Professor.
Thank you very much. Welcome.
How are you?
Welcome you.
Thank you so much. How are you doing?
Welcome to Adama Science and Technology University.
I came here to discuss about the water resources of Ethiopia in general and the impact of Grand Ethiopia Renaissance Dam in general to the nation as well as in the region.
Water resources are the backbone of all development endeavors, especially for Ethiopia. Many of Ethiopian problems are related to water resources. If we properly develop our water resources, most of our problems will be solved, be it drought, be it flooding, be it water supply, power generation, and the like. Many of the problem we are suffering from are directly or indirectly related to water development.
Great. Let's have a sit there. In today's episode of Talk to Addis program, we are located here at the beautiful and green compound, Adama Science and Technology University, a place where science and technology are well narrated. I'll be staying with Professor Mekonnen Ayana. Your compound is very beautiful, clean, and interesting. I loved it.
Yes, thank you very much for loving it.
Would you introduce yourself to us a bit about your educational background, your work experience?
Thank you very much again. My name is Mekonnen Ayana, Professor of Water Resource Engineering and Management here at Adama Science and Technology University, Department of Water Resources Engineering. Before I joined here, I worked for about 16 years in Arba Minch Water Technology University, and later on Arba Minch University. I did all my degrees in Germany, Rostock University.
Oh.
So starting from undergraduate up to my promotion or PhD degree. So I brought a lot of values from Germany because I lived there for about 12 years. Did continuously all my degrees there. So a lot of values I learned from Germany and exercising here, like punctuality, discipline, respect to work, valuing resources like water and so on. So since 2016, I'm here at Adama University. And since then, we have launched water resource engineering at master's program, at PhD program, and so on. Therefore, like you said, I like the campus. I also contributed to this beautiful arrangement in the campus.
So you are enjoying your lecturing, being here in this beautiful compound?
Yes.
Yeah, great. I am really pleased to have you, Professor Mekonnen, and I want to thank you very much for your time investment you are going to make with me for the interview, especially for the national issues I have raised. To begin with, how do you describe the water resources of Ethiopia and its current utilization level?
The water resource of Ethiopia is governed by the geographic features of the country, whereby Ethiopia is divided into two through Great Rift Valley. In a way, the Rift Valley divides Ethiopia into two. The Rift Valley runs from from northern Afar area up to the west southern area to Lake Turkana. Okay, then this part of the country, that is the northwestern part and western south part of the country, the rivers that emanate from this region flow into the northern or western parts that forms the Nile. Okay, and the other part is the area that is in the eastern and east-south part, highland areas of Bale mountain and so on. Water that emanate from there are flowing into the Somali area that are Baro Akob, not Baro Akob, I mean Wabi Shebele and the Ganali Dawa form that region. Therefore, when we say the Ethiopia is a water tower of Eastern Africa, the rivers that emanate from highland areas of Ethiopia are flowing into low-lying neighboring countries like Sudan and Egypt and so on. From this side to Somalia, from this side, which is Omo Gibe, is flowing to Lake Turkana to Somalia, not to Kenya region and so on. Therefore, all rivers that are originating from highland areas are flowing to different directions to feed the neighboring countries. Okay, therefore we have, as a water resource, we have 12 river basins, big river basins. Out of 12, 7 are flowing to neighboring countries. Therefore, these characteristics of our rivers and so on are number one, they are opportunity for cooperation, and at the same time also they are creating management of water complex as transboundary rivers and so on. Therefore, we have, of course, adequate amount of water from water resource point of view, but we have not yet adequately developed to address our socio-economic problems and so on. So from groundwater point of view, the groundwater of Ethiopia is not adequately investigated, but we have also adequate, not adequate, but even if the resource is not adequately researched, we have like 30 to 40 billion cubic meter of groundwater potential is there. So we cannot complain about the water resources availability because we have not adequately developed them. So we are trying to develop them, but still much has to be done to develop those water resources to address many of our challenges.
Great, you raised a very important point, Professor. What are the challenges that Ethiopia faces in effectively managing and distributing its water resources? Just let me have your own observation.
The major ones are from natural availability point of view. The water resource of Ethiopia is very variable both in time and space. In some areas, naturally, there is adequate amount of water, sometimes also surplus especially during winter season. Large areas are inundated and flooded and so on. In other areas, there is a water scarcity, drought is there, and many of our people and environment is suffering from those kind of extreme hydrological event, drought and flood. So therefore, from natural point of view, our water resources are highly variable, both in space and time. Therefore, many of our rivers are carrying water, a huge amount of water, only during 3 to 4 months of the year. In the rest of the months, they carry only low flows. Therefore, storing water during excess water period and using it during low water availability period is very important. For that purpose, water infrastructure, building water infrastructure, developing water infrastructure are very essential. Those are like dams, for example. Huge dams are required to store those water during excess period and using it during low flow period. That is from natural point of view. From human capacity point of view, until recent, we were entirely dependent on external consultants, engineers, and so on. So we had no adequate capacity in terms of technical capacity, technological capacity, and the like. Therefore, in 1986, the Water Technology Institute of Arbaminch University was inaugurated just to cover this kind of problem, human resource capacity building. So since then, human resource capacity building in the water sector was aggressively addressed. Okay, so but still not adequate. So now, with expansion of universities, at least almost all of the universities are having departments that are dealing with water, just to build the capacity we have in the areas of water. Therefore, this is from human resource capacity point of view, because water infrastructure require technical and human capacity. Yeah? So luckily now we are implementing many projects together with external consultants, contractors, and the like. So we build also practical capacity through all those kind of cooperation. Therefore, the other thing is financial capacity also. As you remember, basin master plans have been stated during Haile Selassie period, for example. Yeah? During Haile Selassie period, many projects were identified during that period. So Haile Selassie said, as you remember, he said, we have done a good job. American consultants have done a good job, but we cannot build the dam. So let the document be reserved, kept, so that the next generation might build, because we didn't have the capacity for that, financial capacity. Therefore, those are some of the challenges we have in relation to water resources development. Natural problem, human resource problem, technical problem, financial problem, and so on. So those are the major challenges, still challenging our endeavors of developing our water resources.
Good. How does the climate and drought affect Ethiopia's water availability and planning?
Climate change is not affecting only one area. It is a global problem.
Please have your own coffee.
Yes, it is a global challenge that affects also Ethiopian water resources. Water resources are the most directly linked to climate. Okay, water resource. There is no area. There is no natural and socio-economic area which is directly linked to climate change. Okay, well, climate affects the river. The river flows, the rainfall, water availability, and so on. Therefore, our region is the most vulnerable region for climate-driven impacts, and there are many studies which have been already done.
Tasty coffee. Yes. I loved it. Yeah.
Yes. Therefore, climate, like I said, climate directly impacts rainfall, temperature, which directly impact on water availability. In all our efforts to develop water resources, we have to consider water climate conditions as well. How will the climate variability impact on our water supply system, hydropower system, irrigation system, and so on? We have to consider all those uncertainties of climate on our water resource development.
Great. Let's come to the role of universities and research institutes. Professor, how are the Ethiopian universities and research institutes contributing to the water development management in general?
Water institutions and capacity building institutions were not there. So water development is a complex area. In a way, we are building infrastructure, thinking that water will come next time over years. When we build large dams, we build them for the next 100 years and so on. Therefore, that kind of building dams, water infrastructure requires information, scientific knowledge, research, and so on. Therefore, research requires data. Water development, designing water infrastructure requires data, and also knowledge for tools, technological tools, and so on. Those can be trained in universities. Data for research and so on can be monitoring stations are designed based on scientific knowledge and skills and so on. Therefore, water resource monitoring systems are very low in Ethiopia, and also most of them are outdated. I mean, they are too old. And so, therefore, a monitoring station must be strengthened, updated, and so on, so that universities and the research institution can deal with water resources research and so on. Not only water resource development, but also even negotiation with transboundary countries. I mean, with transboundary, when we deal with transboundary river conditions, negotiation with riparian countries requires also information, knowledge, modeling skills, capacities, and so on. Therefore, the role of universities and research institutions is very essential for the effective utilization and development of our water resources. Okay, so if you take Egypt and so on, they have more than 12 strong, big research institutions, specifically for water resources. Many areas of the water resource engineering are dealt with specific research institutions. In Ethiopia, we don't have institutions that are entirely focusing on water resources research and so on. Therefore, while universities are building capacity, but research completely focusing on water resource research is very important to build institutions.
So still it needs extraordinary effort, you mean? Fine. In your view, how does the watershed management play in ensuring long-term water sustainability, Professor?
Yeah, that is a good idea, because what is the origin of water? water originates from watershed. When watershed is healthy, then we get healthy and quality water.
Exactly.
When the watershed is sick, then we get polluted water. Sometimes also flooding. The water will run quickly, disappear elsewhere, and we don't get the benefit out of that water. Therefore, managing water alone is not possible. To manage water, we need to manage watershed. Watershed is the storehouse of water. Okay, so watershed receives water from rainfall, and then gradually infiltrates, gradually receive it, gradually store it. Some release into groundwater, recharge groundwater. The other, depending upon the nature and the condition of the watershed, some will run off following the surface and join the next stream and so on. Therefore, the managing watershed is very important, because in Ethiopia we are suffering from increasingly degradation of watershed, which is very bad for Ethiopia, where the agrarian society is feeding the nation. Agriculture is the primary source of food and so on. Therefore, managing watershed, managing water is possible only through effective management of watershed. There are many initiatives going on, including Green Legacy, that contributes to rehabilitation of degraded areas, degraded watersheds, and so on. Because degraded watershed has a wide-reaching impact on the infrastructure, on the road infrastructure, on water resource infrastructure, like the dams, reservoirs, canals, and so on. Therefore, that will cost us much on the water resources infrastructure. Like our Prime Minister also indicated that we also teach for 1 centimeter of soil to be formed, it requires 200 years on average. Although the climate condition and so on impacts also most. It requires long period of time. But losing the soil through rainfall and erosion is very quick. Okay, therefore protecting the soil is protecting the water.
Definitely.
Yeah. Therefore, watershed conservation and management is very important, because sustainability, considering sustainability is not only using the natural resource for us, the current generation, but also considering the need of the next generation also to use those resources properly. So we think of next generation as well. So it is a very important topic, conservation and management of watershed. To manage water it requires big attention. Requires big attention.
Exactly. Fine. My next question goes to your personal achievement. Is there any kind of research finding that made you very happy in terms of bringing the solution that you were intended to bring in terms of enhancing water management, Professor?
Good question. In this regard, water resource management, like I have been also discussing, my research areas were entirely related to irrigation, efficient irrigation, water-saving irrigation, and also conservation, water conservation, water-saving techniques to utilize the water resources, specifically in the areas of irrigation, water use in agriculture. So in that case, we have been dealing with different ways of applying water to the crops. Traditionally, Ethiopia, majorly water application in Ethiopia is like flooding. We call it also surface irrigation that consumes and wastes a lot of water without considering how much is to be applied, what amount of water is enough, and the like. So in that case, we developed different ways of applying water to the cropped area by controlling the amount of water that is adequate for crop and also saves water. Those techniques are supported by also models. Of course, irrigation. There are many factors that influence irrigation. So number one is the field preparation itself. Number two is knowing how much water is really required under a specific condition, and then applying that amount of water to the crop. Of course, crop type and development is also very important. And we dealt with the characteristics of the soil. I developed different formulas to understand and to know how much water is infiltrated into the soil during irrigation. In that case, what we need during irrigation, water management, is that adequate amount of water is put into the root zone of the soil. So knowing that and estimating that during irrigation is very essential. Related to that, I developed formulas that is very important to monitor irrigation water application. From climate point of view, also like you asked me earlier, in what ways and extent climate variability and the change affects the water availability for irrigation and so on. So projecting those into the future and analyzing the historical conditions and how that variability can impact water availability and also developing water infrastructure, especially for irrigation. Therefore, in that case, we published more than 60 papers in peer-reviewed journals and the like. So from practical point of view, based on those formulas, we also set up a demonstration farm here in our campus. Demonstration farm that can be utilized, different irrigation methods and application that can be used for education, training, also training of youth, the surrounding youth, business people to engage in urban agriculture, irrigation-based urban agriculture in small pocket areas and so on. Arranging mini sprinkler irrigation, mini drip irrigation. So demonstrating how we can make a small plot of area very productive by using a small amount of water and the like. Those are important for sustainable development of urban agriculture always. Small plot of land, but productive in terms of vegetable production. And so it is a wide engagement area what we have been doing so far.
That was what made you very interested.
Water management, yes. Water management is very interesting area. Also, didn't get attention from Ethiopian perspective. If you go around, you see many water taps are open, and then water flows continuously and so on. Whereby behind any water loss is a huge amount of investment. We pump from groundwater deep into 400 meters and so on. So we run pumps to deliver that water, and we cannot afford wasting the water that comes through that kind of investment.
Yeah, this is very important because for me, even as the one who came from the farmer's family, I am very eager to know, hear, and explore such kind of information in relation to the irrigation agriculture. And also even as a journalist who is working in a country which is highly dependent on the agriculture activity. That's why I think our research institutions and the universities are highly expected to, contribute in this area in terms of, bringing kind of dramatical transformation, because unless we do in such pace, I think it will be difficult to, uplift our country. So we all are responsible.
Exactly.
The another issue that I want to raise to you is the flagship project, which is the Monumental Grand Ethiopia Renaissance Dam. As you might well know about it, Ethiopia has inaugurated the Grand Ethiopia Renaissance Dam, unbelievably making a history and celebrating Africa's history in terms of achieving this grand achievement. During the inauguration ceremony, the Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has made a speech in a way that narrates the regional cooperation and also the African-led achievements towards the Grand Ethiopia Renaissance Dam. My question to you in relation to this point is, Professor, what makes the Grand Ethiopia Renaissance Dam a remarkable project to Ethiopia as well as in the region from the perspective of water engineering?
There are many issues that makes this dam remarkable. The dam is not only, in this case, the dam stores water so that you can access the water, which would have been run away to downstream areas. We dam it, we store it, we keep it so that we can use it the way we like, the way it is fair, not the way the way it is fair also for downstream countries. But when it comes to this dam, 14 years we passed through a lot of ups and downs. Number one is not only the dam. I will come back to the dam purpose, but it became the symbol of sovereignty and unity in Ethiopia. That dam brought to an end the hydro hegemony of the downstream countries like Egypt and so on. For them, the river is about the dominance of the Nile, okay? The dominance of the Nile, and refusing the natural right of others to use the water. This has been their policy direction and their part of their action also for many hundred years. Therefore, through implementation of this dam, we brought to an end this kind of long-standing hydro hegemony and the dominance of the Nile over the river. That they made several treaties sharing the water among themselves, like giving a small part to Sudan and dominating the other part of water. So, and then throughout this 14, we have passed through several challenges. Normally, over the world, there are more than 270 transboundary rivers that cross more than two countries. In all those operations and uses, there is no single event whereby the issue of water sharing became the agenda of United Nations Security Council. In case of Ethiopia, they presented the issue of the Nile were presented more than 11 times to Security Council. Through all those, Ethiopia defended its national interest, and that didn't work. But before that, Egypt and their partners, especially the United States, they prepared a draft agreement and tried to convince Ethiopia to sign. Behind those agreements, there were a lot of articles that tend to refer to the previous treaty issues, the dominance of the dominance of the Nile and so on, so that we will not going to have a chance of using the river. So behind many articles, there were a lot of hidden agendas. So that didn't work also. They brought that to the table so that Ethiopia signs on it. And then in that there are many articles. If I mention, for example, throughout Ethiopia has to grant water release from the Nile, for example, like average flow. We call it average flow before the dam was constructed. So we enter into agreement of such kind of article, releasing natural flow, average natural flow. That would mean we're not going to develop carry out any development activities on the tributaries of the Nile, upstream of the Gert, it means. So therefore, we said, no, this cannot be. Natural flow may also be impacted by natural, like, for example, climate change and so on, the drought and so on. Yeah? So naturally, the flow can also be affected, vary, can be low, can be high. So Ethiopia cannot grant constant flow in there. And another point is to drought management. They say whenever there is a drought, Ethiopia must release a certain amount of water from stored one. And we say no. We flexibly manage our dam because the purpose is to generate power. So we release water when we need power. Yeah, the water is released by operating the turbines and so on. We said no. Therefore, what makes it unique is that we consistently defended our national interest, and also unified without any division in terms of religion, political position, and so on. All Ethiopians, whether in the country or abroad, stood together consistently and brought the dam to an end. And in September 2025, it were officially inaugurated. Therefore, its uniqueness is that we built together the largest dam in Africa that doubles the power supply of Ethiopia, and then also integrated the region as well. We are already supplying power to Kenya, to Djibouti, to Sudan, and next also to Uganda, to Tanzania, and so on. So we demonstrate that we have no intention to harm anyone. Rather, demonstrate that we are interested in regional integration and peaceful coexistence. The other one is that throughout the years, we were considered as poor and will not be able to build this large dam. Okay? So, but in unity, we demonstrated that we can do it. Okay? We demonstrated that, and also consistently, although there were many even trying to internationalize, making it Arab security issues, there were no propaganda, misinformation of the public and the partners and so on. What they have done a lot of things what they could do, but they couldn't stop our building the dam. So we did it.
Professor, you are really sharing with us a very meaningful discussion. Respected viewers, still we are talking about the Grand Ethiopia Renaissance Dam and the water resources in Ethiopia. Still, we are talking with Professor Mekonnen Ayana. Of course, the Ethiopian Grand Renaissance Dam is the largest hydroelectric power in Africa and designed to generate more than 5,000 megawatts of electricity and provide millions homes in Ethiopia. Beyond that, how this Grand Ethiopia Renaissance Dam can contribute to irrigation and flood control, Professor?
Yes. In Ethiopia, dam water infrastructure is very expensive venture. Expensive. Ethiopia, we need water in many areas. Like 26 million of our people do not get adequate and safe drinking water. So irrigation, we need food production as well to ensure food security. To make our people food secure. We need also power. So like half of our population do not get access to electricity. That means all those areas, many of our industrial parks require reliable supply of power. And our transportation system require also power. Therefore, all those areas of economic, social areas require water resource related solution. Okay? Therefore, the dam, like I said, the dam is expensive project. Therefore, the water resource projects must be multi-purposed projects, not meant only for one area, not meant only for power, not meant only for irrigation and so on. Therefore, we promote multi-purpose water resource projects. Therefore, we say to our people, to our downstream people, of course the dam was meant for hydropower generation, which is a huge capacity. We're going to lose many opportunities if we only concentrate only on hydropower generation. So we have stored more than 74 billion cubic meter behind that dam and cover more than 250 kilometers behind the dam. You can imagine if the water behind the dam can be also used for irrigation purpose, so we can develop large areas of irrigated agriculture in there. We have to use all opportunities that the dam provide in that case. That is water consumptive use. It takes water, the water will not return back. Our downstream countries do not want that. But But like I said, we want to use the water for multi-purpose, not only for one purpose and so on. Therefore, there are initiatives. We are in the stage of that. Roadmap is already developed. Last time it was discussed, presented by Water and Energy, Ministry of Water and Energy. So there are many scenarios how to effectively use the dam, apart from tourism, fishery, and so on. Irrigation is one potential area for using these resources. There is no doubt about it. You have to use in all possible ways to ensure the benefit of our people. Long-standing desire to utilize the Nile water must be ensured at this stage with this. There are many also planned dams upstream of this GERD. They will continue to be realized.
Respected viewers, since we are running out of the function of time, we are influenced to stop here for the first session of Talk to Addis program, which mainly focused on the Ethiopia's water resources in general and the impact of Grand Ethiopia Renaissance Dam. Next week, we will be coming with the rest of the discussion we have made with Professor Mokonnin Ayana. See you next week.